Hey friend, Roderick Christopherson here again with another first listen review. Another one of these first time ever hearing the band type reviews too. I've heard the band, but I've never bought any of their albums. I guess that's the way I should put this. This is the first album of this band I've ever gotten. It is Greta Van Fleet and their brand new album, Starcatcher. Just got done listening to it again here. The first listen, I gotta be honest, first time through, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention to it. Nothing really stuck with me, so I had to go back through and kind of give it a really good, close listen to it. It's one of these bands that they've been around for a while, and I've heard their songs, and there's nothing I've disliked. It's actually one of my daughter's favorite bands, aside from Queen. That's right, Rosa Wright. Queen is her favorite band. But anyway, so she's been playing this stuff, and I've heard it all, and I actually knew who they were before, even though she thinks she heard them first, but that's a different story. But they're a bunch of younger guys. They got labeled as sounding a lot like Led Zeppelin, which they do sound a lot like Led Zeppelin. I'm not gonna go into that argument, but to me they do sound a lot like Led Zeppelin, at least when Plant's belting it out. And they even admit, the guitar player Jacob Kiska, the guitar player, even admits that studying Jimmy Page's playing so much that he could actually think the way Jimmy Page would write. So he's influenced by Jimmy Page. He himself admits it. Anyway, it's just younger guys. Me being a little bit older, I just didn't find myself being intrigued to listen to a younger band. I don't know why. I just didn't. No excuse really other than that. I just didn't feel any urge to go listen and get these albums. Just didn't. But I saw this coming out. I'd heard the song Heat Above, and I don't know, just recently I heard that song, and they played it on the radio a few different times, and I'd heard it, and I'm like, that's a really good song. And so I came home one day and I popped it on, and I was like, that's a really good song. Maybe I should give these guys a chance. Still didn't go out and buy their albums, but did get this one. So I sat down, I'm like, I'm going to give them a fair shot, not go into with any premeditated opinions or anything like that, and just listen to them. So anyway, getting into this, I kind of knew what they sounded like. So the album kicks in kind of mellow, actually. It starts out with a mellow song, and then it builds up a little bit. It never really kind of kicks in full force. A lot of effects on the singing. I should probably state that it's like three brothers and then one of their high school friends. He's got Joshua Kishka, I hope I'm saying that right, on vocals. Jacob, I already mentioned, on guitar. Samuel on bass guitar. They're all three. Those are brothers. And then they have Daniel Wagner on drums, who joined about a year after they formed. They had a previous drummer, and I only had him for about a year. Then they got Daniel in. And the funny part is, I thought he was one of the brothers too, and one of the other guys wasn't. But that's how much I paid attention to these guys. But anyway, and I've always enjoyed everything I've heard. So I just, like I said, never thought about getting it. But so anyway, Waiting All Your Life kicks in. Nothing. It's kind of still not really rocking out too much yet. And then it's still kind of a mellower type song, I think. And then The Falling Sky kicks in. Now this is the first song that sounds like something I've heard from them before, and sounded a little bit familiar. It sound like Greta Van Fleet, because those first two songs didn't sound like anything I'd ever heard previous on the radio or whatever. This one's definitely got a Page style riffing going on in it, and it kind of rocks. This is the first time the band, to me, feels like they're all together in the same room, because there's so much reverb on Joshua's voice to this whole CD that he just sounds like he's somewhere else. And a lot of the time on this album, there was so much reverb on the guitar, it just sounds like he's like in another room, and then the drummer and the bass player are jamming out, somewhere in the middle, pushing the red line. This level on this thing is like not only is it on the verge of distorting, it is distorting a little bit. I'm assuming I don't know how they recorded it, but it sounds like they probably recorded analog. It seems like the type of band that would want to do that, to try to catch that classic rock sound. And it does sound, the bass playing and the drums sound like they're, got that analog feel. It's a warmer sound. And I'm guessing this is them trying to be experimental. A lot of bands do that, and I have no problem with bands trying to be experimental and trying new things. you don't want to get pigeonholed as one type of sound. I get it. But so far, that one's the only one that sounded kind of like anything that I'd previously heard. Sacred the Thread. I actually did hear that one a little bit. I think it was somebody, I was on YouTube or something, I don't know, but really long. That's probably the longest one I think on the whole album. And if I was to sit here and tell you anything about it, I've heard it a few times now and I still cannot remember a thing about the song. So I got nothing to say about that one. Then Runaway Blues, which I don't know, it's like a minute long. I think they could have left this off. There's nothing memorable about the song, and it seemed like it was just trying to fill up space. It's a fairly short album, 42 minutes, just under 43 minutes actually. I don't know what that one was. It was just kind of a waste to me. But the Indigo Streak I thought was pretty cool, and this is the first time I think they didn't sound. I didn't hear any Zeppelin reference really or influence. The first thing that popped into my mind was Jefferson Airplane. Especially because the background vocals are a lot like Jefferson Airplane. And then it goes off in the left field somewhere around the chorus, I guess. And because I say that because there's really not any strong hooks that I can tell you in any of these songs. And they're trying all kinds of stuff on this, weird progressions, and the structures are pretty solid and normal, nothing really weird, but the chord progressions, and it was just kind of you can tell they're experimenting, which is cool. I like that. This song I liked. Frozen Light was the first time I actually think this would be the second time. They sound like a real band. They got the acoustic guitar comes in, that's right up front. It blended really well, is mixed really well with the rest of the band. Although Joshua still sounds like he's singing off somewhere else, and they're just like, almost like he's on a megaphone. Not that it sounds like a megaphone, but he's got that echo just coming out somewhere else, like he's not there with the band. I don't know why they chose to do that. To me, it just sounded not like it was a cohesive unit playing together. And I read somewhere that the guitar player had said that they're going for a more raw sound, which I think if they actually were going for a more raw sound, they wouldn't have so much reverb on that. That guitar would be right up front, the vocals would be right up front, just and rocking out like a rock band. And I think that's the one thing holding me back from really, really loving the sound of that, is that they didn't put that stuff up front. Meeting the Master, I'd actually heard a little bit of that one too, and it didn't really do much for me. It's a decent song, but it didn't really reach out and grab me at all. My favorite song on the whole album, I think, is actually Farewell for Now, which had some really cool background vocals on it. A lot of cool keyboards too. The bass player also plays keyboards, and that's the one thing that I really liked about Heat Above. Was that keyboard playing, and there's a lot of that throughout this whole album. He's in there, and he is a great keyboard player too. I mean, really phenomenal keyboard player. But I think he's an even better bass player. This guy kicks some serious butt, and the drummer kills. They are the super solid, tight rhythm unit. All the stuff they're doing really played well together. He knows how to play underneath the guitar part and not walk all over it. And there's some serious soloing and some really cool guitar playing. His acoustic playing is top notch. It is like he's got a great feel. The solos he plays fit perfect with the songs. And I was really impressed with the sound of the band. And not that I dislike Joshua's singing. I actually think he sings very well. He's got one of those voices that he doesn't always have to be on pitch, and that's okay. Kind of like, Bruce Dickinson or even Michael Sweet, or even, I'm going all over the board here with styles of singers, but those guys aren't always right on pitch, but that's okay. That's their style, and it doesn't really sound bad at all. He has that same thing going for him, where it doesn't sound bad, but he's not always on key, but it works for him. The only thing is he really sings constantly up in that higher register, like in his head voice. He doesn't really sing down his chest voice ever. If he's going full falsetto, it's not really that noticeable. It's just always stuck right there in the middle. Like even when he's going for the lower notes, he kind of stays in that head voice. And the whole album's worth of that for me was just a little bit too much. I don't know, this was a great place for me to start. Maybe I should have started with the first two albums. I probably will go listen to them because I know what they sounded like and I know those songs. This one was definitely more experimental. I think this is more like an album that's going to grow on listeners. Like the first listen to me, it didn't like nothing really stood out. And after second listen, listening to it a little closer, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit more now. I'm probably gonna listen to this one a few more times, and I'm sure it's gonna be one of those ones that grows on me. And it'll probably be, down the line, it's gonna be one of these albums that comes to be like fan favorites. Just like Zeppelin, I hate to say it, but you got some of these. The first initial couple albums were more the rock albums, and then they started going more experimental. And some of those albums are more fan favorites. I think this one might follow that same thing. I hope these guys keep rocking out. I did not dislike this album. I don't want anything in here being construed that I didn't like it, because I actually did. A few little things there I probably would have liked a little different, but it's their album, they're artists, that they can do what they want. I wouldn't want anybody telling me what I should or shouldn't do, I guess, on mine, but that's what we're here for, reviewing it, being a little critical of it. But anyway, I liked it. For me, I would probably rate this about a 7 out of 10. It might go up a little bit more later on down the line. They're really, really, really good musicians. I can't stress that enough. These guys can play, and they sound. I've heard some live stuff from them too, and I've always been really impressed with them. I'm probably gonna go check out their new albums. I don't know. I'll run right out and grab them, but I know I'm gonna check them out a little bit more. Now, this did intrigue me, so. If anything, this album made me want to go listen to the first album. That would be the takeaway from it. That's probably what it'll be. And I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this. And I appreciate all the subs and the likes and the comments lately. I have to ask for that just because it helps the video get seen by more people and just get more people talking about it. And I love the interaction between people in the comments, and it's cool. That's what this is all about. A bunch of guys, girls sitting around, talking about music. That's really all this is, just sharing our opinions on music. And there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just us having fun talking about music. So anyway, until next time, we'll see ya.